Firefighters are faced with many concerns en route to and at the scene of a fire, including the size of the fire, search and rescue of victims, deployment of personnel and equipment, and sufficient water supply with which to attack, contain, and suppress the fire. Since water is the most common agent for the suppression of fire, the task then becomes one of getting water at adequate volume and pressure from its source to the fire through an arrangement of hoses and nozzles. We'll use a typical pumper as the focal point for this program to explain water supply connections to the pumper from man-made or natural water sources, and water discharge connections from the pumper to hoses and nozzles, standpipes, and sprinkler systems. Once the water supply connections have been completed at the pumper, we will demonstrate hose and nozzle advancement from the pumper for a ground-level attack through a door or window, up interior or exterior stairways, down interior or exterior stairways, and how to advance a hose line to an upper level or roof of a building using a ladder or by hoisting the hose line with a rope. And we will demonstrate methods for dealing with common hose emergencies, such as burst hose, separation of the hose from its shank, and runaway or wild lines. And finally, we'll demonstrate how a pumper can support standpipe systems or sprinkler systems. Methods and procedures demonstrated in this program may vary from those used by your department for several reasons, including the size of apparatus crews, equipment available to you, and the personal preference of command personnel. We will demonstrate the basic principles for accomplishing each task quickly, efficiently, and safely. Water supplies can be connected to the intake side of the apparatus pumps from both man-made and natural water sources. There are a wide variety of man-made water sources available to you, which include hydrants, reservoirs and irrigation ditches, even swimming pools. There are a wide variety of natural water sources which are available to you, including streams, rivers, ponds, lakes, and even the ocean. Hydrants are found in a variety of sizes and shapes. Hydrants are nothing more than taps into an underground water distribution system. A valve enables you to open the tap, feeding water to the outlet ports. There are two basic types of hydrants, dry and wet. Dry hydrants have their valves located below the frost line. The barrel of the hydrant is dry to prevent damage through freezing. Wet hydrants have their valves located high in the barrel. This type of hydrant is generally found in warmer climates where freezing weather is not common. Ports on the hydrant permit the connection of firefighting equipment. These fittings are generally 2.5 inches in diameter. The so-called steamer port can be 4 or 4.5 inches in diameter. In many areas, blue reflectors have been cemented on the center line of the roadway, marking the location of hydrants, which may be difficult to spot, especially at night. Some departments have color-coded their hydrants to indicate the water flow in gallons per minute available from each hydrant. Red indicating 0 to 500 gallons per minute, orange indicating 500 to 1,000 gallons per minute, green indicating 1,000 to 1,500 gallons per minute, and blue for 1,500 or more gallons per minute. In rural areas where hydrants are non-existent, tankers are dispatched with first response apparatus. Tankers can bring water to an apparatus from a distant hydrant or other man-made water source, and from a wide variety of natural water sources. Tankers can feed water directly to a pumper, or drop the water into a portable tank adjacent to the pumper. Now that we've identified the wide variety of water sources, both man-made and natural, we'll take a detailed look at the connection to the pumper intake from a hydrant, demonstrating the forward lay-in of supply hose. Taking a hydrant on the run does not save time and may result in injury to the hydrant operator. After the apparatus has come to a complete stop, the hose bed finish is pulled from the hose bed, along with the tools and equipment necessary to complete the hydrant connection. A loop is thrown around the hydrant with a foot planted on the end of the hose to anchor the supply hose to the hydrant. Never get between the hydrant and the engine laying the hose. Stand behind the hydrant with the feet outside the loop. Kinks in the hose bed or jammed couplings could forcefully pull the hose from around the hydrant. Once the hose is anchored to the hydrant operator signals the driver to lay in. From up here, you can see the importance of a properly loaded hose bed, no matter what the configuration the bed is loaded in, to ensure a smooth lay-in of the supply hose and prevent injury to crew members who may be riding on the tailboard. As the lay-in is being completed by the engine, the hydrant operator prepares the hydrant hookup. Remain behind the hydrant as the port caps are removed. The hydrant may be charged either by accident or by vandalism. Water pressure could blow the caps off just as they're being unthreaded. Your policies will dictate what will be coupled to the hydrant, the supply hose, or one of many types of water flow control appliances. In this case, a hydrant gate will be installed on each of the uncapped ports. The supply hose will be coupled to one hydrant gate. The other hydrant gate will be installed in the closed position, ready to accept a second supply line if the need arises. Once all connections are completed and checked, the hydrant operator waits for the lay-in to be completed. When the pumper has completed the supply hose lay-in and positioned as directed by the officer in charge, the supply hose connection can be completed to the pumper. In this department, it's the responsibility of the driver to complete the supply hose connection to the pumper. The first step, immediately upon spotting the apparatus, is to place a hose clamp on the supply line. The driver may not have visual contact with the hydrant operator, and horn signals may be confusing, especially if other apparatus are responding to the emergency. Clamping the hose prevents the hose bed from being charged with water and protects the apparatus pump from receiving water before it's been properly prepared. With this type of hose clamp, it's a good idea to stand opposite the hinge of the clamp. If the supply hose is charged while you're putting the clamp on, the clamp will not fly back against your leg. After the clamp has been secured, the driver can return to the pumper to start the water supply for the attack crew from the booster tanks. When the hydrant operator receives a signal, if visual contact is possible, or feels that enough time has elapsed for the hose clamp to have been secured, the hydrant valve is opened slowly while remaining behind the hydrant. If a coupling fails, or if the threads on the port, which may be rusted or cracked, fail under pressure, the operator will be protected, standing behind the hydrant. The valve is opened slowly to prevent water hammer. Water hammer is defined as a violent concussion of water caused by a sudden change of its flow through a hydrant, pipe, hose, valve, pump, or nozzle. Water hammer can severely damage valves, distort couplings, burst hose, and damage apparatus pumps and nozzles. When the hydrant is completely opened, the hydrant operator can report to the apparatus for further assignment. Once the hose clamp is opened and water flows to the apparatus pump, the water supply connection from its source to the pumper is completed. Tankers can be manufactured in a wide variety of shapes, sizes, and water carrying capacities. Tankers may be fitted with pumps to draw water from a source directly, or be filled by a pumper or some other pumping apparatus. When utilizing a natural water source, consideration must be given to anticipated water supply duration, firmness of the ground at the takeout point, and the clogging of intakes with floating debris. As with hydrants, water flow must be carefully controlled to prevent damage to the equipment. In many cases, portable tanks can be set up adjacent to pumpers. Tankers can then shuttle back and forth to the water source, bringing in additional water supplies. Once the water source has been established and connections made to the apparatus for its utilization, we're ready for the discharge of water from the apparatus to hoses and nozzles, standpipes, and sprinkler systems. Hoses and nozzles are advanced for several reasons, including establishment of attack lines, establishment of exposure protection, to extend existing lines, and to replace destroyed, damaged, or poorly placed lines. Fire hose is difficult to work with, even in the relative comfort of the engine bay, due to its length and bulk. Teamwork can make hose maneuvers quicker and safer, especially when working with charged hose. Remember to bend at the knees and let your arms and legs do the work to prevent back injuries. This chart shows the weight of water in a charged line and does not include the basic weight of the hose and couplings. As shown on the chart, a 2.5-inch line contains over 100 pounds of water in a typical 50-foot length. In addition to the length and bulk of hose lines, hydraulic forces come into play when a line is charged or filled with water. Pressure seeks to straighten lines out. And nozzles, when opened, exhibit a recoil effect as pressure is released through the nozzle. Nozzle operators should secure the hose and nozzles with straps or hose rope tools to assist in controlling the recoil effect and to maintain a grip on the hose. It's also desirable to have a backup person stationed behind the nozzle operator to help in controlling the line. We will now demonstrate the advancement of hoses and nozzles from the apparatus in a variety of situations. The first conditions we will demonstrate are with dry lines. Many apparatus are equipped with pre-connected lines which can be advanced and charged with water from booster tanks even while hydrant or other water supply connections are being completed. The firefighter braces himself before leaving the vehicle, ensuring the shoulder load is stabilized. This can help prevent twisted ankles or other injuries. As the firefighter advances to the fire, the hose is paid off the shoulder. One hand is free to open doors while the other hand can be used to stabilize the shoulder load. Surplus hose is paid out and the attack can begin through a door or window. Advancing hose on stairways calls for teamwork. The number of personnel used to advance the hose depends upon the distance to be traveled. As a rule of thumb, one person should carry a 50-foot length of hose using either the shoulder carry method or the underarm carry with the coupling suspended in the air to prevent dragging. As the hose is carried into the stairway, the hose is paid off the shoulder of the last person in line. The hose should be laid out of the way so it doesn't become a safety hazard to other personnel. Corners should be rounded. Remember, the hose will try to straighten itself out when charged. Be careful not to block doors that open into the stairwell. As the load is relieved from each successive person, they can return to the apparatus for additional hose or further assignment. When the hose advancement is complete, a backup person should stay with the nozzle operator to assist in controlling the nozzle and hose. Make sure personnel in the stairway are warned before the signal is passed to charge the hose. The same principles apply in advancing a hose down a stairway. Again, either the shoulder carry method or underarm carry can be utilized to advance the hose, with the coupling suspended to prevent damage. As the hose is advanced down the stairway, the hose is paid off the shoulder of the last person in line and each successive person. Corners should be rounded and care taken not to block doorways which open onto the stairwell. The last firefighter in the advancement should remain with the nozzle operator to help control the hose and nozzle. Ensure personnel are warned before the hose line is charged. From time to time, hoses and nozzles may have to be advanced to upper levels or roofs. This type of advancement can be accomplished with a ladder or by hoisting the hose and nozzle with a rope. Teamwork is the key element to safely accomplishing this task. There are two acceptable ways to carry the hose up a ladder: the shoulder carry, or by using hose rope tools or straps to lug the hose up the ladder. Lengths of hose should be gathered at the foot of the ladder, and the firefighters should be staged about 10 feet apart, with loops of hose between them. Using the shoulder carry method frees both hands for use on the ladder. Suspending the hose next to the ladder will prevent couplings from jamming against ladder rungs. The nozzle is carried over the shoulder, resting against the back. This protects the nozzle from bumping and banging around or catching on the ladder. Once the hose is in a position for a ladder attack, the nozzle operator will signal the personnel to lock in. Locking in is accomplished by passing a leg through the ladder and bracing the foot against the rail of the ladder. If the attack is going to be made from the ladder, the hose should be secured to the ladder with straps or hose rope tools. The nozzle is placed through the ladder and tied off through the handle. Slack should be provided to form a loop when the hose is charged, smoothing the flow of water into the nozzle. If additional line is required, personnel on the ladder should be locked in, freeing their hands to pass the line up the ladder while protecting them from falling off the ladder. To reverse the process, either passing a line down a ladder or retrieving a line following the fire, the line should be carefully passed down the ladder with the crew locked in, freeing their hands to work the hose. And again, the nozzle should be protected from abuse by carrying it over the shoulder of the last person down the ladder. The second method for advancing a hose and nozzle to an upper level is by hoisting with a rope. Two primary concerns should be remembered when hoisting a hose and nozzle: protection of personnel and protection of equipment. If the hose slips or the rope parts, personnel could be injured by a falling hose and nozzle. Protect the nozzle from snagging on windows or ledges by securing the nozzle back against the hose line with the nozzle away from the building. If time permits, and if one is available, a hose roller should be installed at the roof or window ledge to protect the hose from chafing and to reduce drag while hoisting the hose. The reverse procedure can be followed to lower the hose back off the roof or window. This time the nozzle should be tied off in this manner so it can't snag on a ledge or window as it's being lowered. So far, we've demonstrated hose and nozzle advancement with dry or uncharged lines. Moving charged lines is a whole new ballgame. Remember this chart, which shows the weight of water in a 50-foot length of hose and doesn't include the weight of the hose and couplings? Normally, charged hose lines in the wrong position should be abandoned. If it's not desirable to abandon the line and the crew is not in imminent danger, the line should be shut down and drained before being moved. If this isn't desirable, plenty of manpower can be used to maneuver the line up or down a stairway. The hose is heavy and the possibility of back injury is great if the legs and arms aren't used to lift and move the hose. Slow, deliberate movements will finally allow success in moving a charged line in cramped quarters. Advancing a charged line on a ladder is dangerous. Plenty of hands should be available to assist. Great care should be exercised to ensure the nozzle operator won't be flicked off the ladder. Once the line is advanced to its operating position, the hose should be secured to the ladder. Advancing a charge line up a ladder and advancing a charge line by hoisting should be avoided whenever possible because of the manpower required, the weight involved, and the safety of the entire team. Three common emergencies may crop up from time to time involving the hose: burst hose, coupling failure, and a runaway or wild line. Hose may burst for a number of reasons, including overpressurization, failure of a weakened area of the hose, or by puncture. A coupling may fail due to overpressurization, improper threading, damaged threads due to repeated excessive dropping, or slippage of the hose from its shank. As soon as the hose or coupling failure is spotted, immediately shut the line down by shutting down the apparatus pump or placing a hose clamp on the line. Small diameter lines may be bent in half to stop the flow of water. Lengths of hose from the apparatus hose bed are coupled in to replace the damaged hose or coupling. Some departments have hose jackets available which are designed for specific diameters of hose. This jacket is designed to be used only with 2.5-inch line. The jacket has gasket seals which secure around the hose and lock into place. Once the repairs are made or the hose jacket is installed, the line can be slowly recharged to prevent water hammer and its use resumed. Runaway or wild lines can kill as the hose whips back and forth. If a hose escapes you, retreat. If the pump operator can't be notified to shut the line down, if a hose clamp isn't available to stop the flow of water, and if bending the hose in half won't work, and if personnel are in danger from the wild line, then you can attempt to retrieve the line by slowly and methodically crawling up the hose toward the nozzle. Keep the face close to the hose and use the weight of your body to anchor the line. As the nozzle is gained, slowly shut the nozzle down and regain control of the line. Straps or hose rope tools should be used to help secure the hose and nozzle to the operator, along with a backup person. In addition to supplying water to hoses and nozzles, pumpers can also support standpipes and building sprinkler systems. Standpipes are found in many buildings and are designed to be utilized by fire departments to transport water, especially to higher elevations, reducing the need for advancing fire hose. Standpipes can be dry, not filled with water, or charged with water from the building water service. Standpipes in colder climates mounted exterior to the building will usually be of the dry type because of the possibility of freezing. Taps are located at each level for connection of firefighting equipment, or cabinets may be provided complete with fire hose. Many departments prefer to use heavier duty fire hose rather than the hose stored in many of these installations. Pumper connections to standpipes permit the fire department to provide adequate pressure for most firefighting situations. If a pumper is committed to a standpipe system, that should be its total commitment. Standpipe kits made up of a tack hose, adapters, and valve keys can be made up ahead of time, and generally are, with those departments who frequently work with standpipe systems. Pumpers can also be utilized to supply water volume and pressure support to building sprinkler systems. Sprinkler systems consist of plumbed piping throughout a building with heat-sensitive sprinkler heads. These systems may be dry or charged with water. Heat from the fire melts a fusible link which allows water to spray from the system onto the fire. Connections are often provided for a pumper to couple into this system to provide water pressure and volume support throughout the sprinkler system. In reviewing what we presented about hoses and nozzles, we pointed out that a water supply was one of the most important considerations facing an attack crew. Pumpers can receive water from a wide variety of man-made and natural water sources. Or water from any of these sources can be brought to the pumper by tankers. Man-made water sources include hydrants, which are taps into water distribution grids buried underground. Hydrants found in warm climates are generally the wet type, where freezing is a rare occurrence. Valves are placed high in the barrel of the hydrant. Dry hydrants are usually found in cold climates. The valve is located below the frost line to prevent damage to the hydrant through freezing. Once the water supply has been established, hoses and nozzles can be advanced for several purposes: establishment of attack lines, establishment of exposure protection, to extend existing lines, or to replace damaged, destroyed, or poorly located lines. As a general rule, hoses should be dry or drained before they are advanced. Hose weight greatly increases when charged or filled with water. For example, a 50-foot section of 2.5-inch hose contains over 100 pounds of water when charged. This weight does not include the weight of hose and couplings. When a hose is charged with water, two hydraulic forces come into play. The hose tries to straighten itself out, and when the nozzle is opened, the pressure applied by the apparatus pumps creates a recoil effect which can be difficult to control. Use safe working principles, letting your arms and legs do the work if you have to maneuver a hose to prevent back injuries. Every step of the way, water valves should be opened slowly from the hydrant to the pumps to the nozzle to prevent serious damage to the equipment by water hammer. Water hammer was defined as a violent concussion of water caused by a sudden change of its flow through a hydrant, pipe, hose, valve, pump, or nozzle. Several methods of hose advancement, both dry and charged, were demonstrated, with preference given to advancing hose without water in it due to the weight of the hose with water and the necessity for having many personnel to assist in moving a charged hose. Teams should be used to advance hose up and down interior or exterior stairways with an awareness that the hose will try to straighten itself out when charged, round out corners, and try to not block doorways which open into the stairwell. We pointed out the importance of having personnel locked in when advancing hoses up or down ladders. To properly lock in, the foot is extended through the ladder, braced against the rail of the ladder. Remember, when hoisting a hose and nozzle to an upper level, to use a hose roller if possible to prevent abrading the hose jacket. Secure the nozzle back against the hose when hoisting, to protect the nozzle and to prevent it from snagging against a window frame or ledge. When the nozzle is lowered, it is not tied back against the hose. Advancing charge lines should be avoided as much as possible because of the time and effort needed to move a line and to prevent possible injury to personnel. If a hose emergency does occur, shut the line down at the pump or place a hose clamp on the line. By learning where dependable water supplies are located and how to take advantage of every type of source available to you, and by practicing hose and nozzle advancement evolutions, covering the wide variety of situations you may encounter, you'll become a valuable member of your fire suppression team.